So, story time, right? What would she do as the world crumbles around her? So a few years ago, here in upstate New York, some wouldn't call it upstate, but mid-Hudson Valley, tornado ripped through. Tornado touchdown. And it's happened twice. Let me see. It's happened once that I know of. As you know, I drive for a living. Wife was on a train on her way home, looking at security cameras in the house. I could see outside it's getting dark. I'm in Long Island. Tornado hits, train shut down. I'm in the S550, Long Island. Boom, out of there, head home, back up north. Where the train stops, which is a major hub. I catch her there, meet up with her there. We work our way back home. We're about a block, 2 blocks away from the house, and we couldn't get to it because of all the trees were down. We couldn't get there, no lights. Work crews are there cleaning up the roadway before we can actually get home. We were probably on that block, maybe 7:30. We couldn't get through probably to about 11:30. Got home. I think it's the same incident, whereas the following day, I got up, sprung into action, went to Home Depot, rented a generator, because where I'm at, there's a lot of retired law enforcement, a couple of prisons. Besides the prison guards that live in the area, moved into the area, a lot of state troopers, different townships, all converge in this one little area. So there's a lot of, then it's a conservative county, I believe. And so there's a lot of guns. You know, in my house, a lot of guns, a lot of ammo. But so for me to get up the next day, go get a generator, get things going, keep things moving, was, you know, it was instinctive. It really was instinctive. While my wife and my mother-in-law was there. Father-in-law was there. But it was instinctive. This is where I would say that if you saw in earlier videos about, you know, once I started learning about my blackness and learned to be a black man, it all came down to just being a man. And I would tell you, my wife is a modern day woman, Western woman at that, you know. I'm just a man, period. She tried to call me a chauvinistic guy. And I said, I'm the least chauvinistic guy you know, that you will ever know, because I've done the jobs of women who are quote unquote modern, you know, traditional women and just being a man. So my thing is, what it comes down to for me, if you see a need, fill a need. I don't care what gender you are. If you see a need, fill a need. And so in my case, this particular day, it was instinctive for me to move. You know what I mean? Go get what we need, this, time, and third. When the C-19 situation hit, we all on lockdown. You know, it was my instinctive, look, things gonna be tight. Like, and these times are coming. I saw all this to say, I'm getting to the point. I went out there store to store, buying up what I could, storing stuff. You know, I have boxes of stuff, and eventually had to donate boxes of stuff. We have we end up getting another refrigerator, an additional refrigerator, freezer. So in my house, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 2 refrigerators with freezers. Then we have 1 deep freezer and 1 stand-up freezer with guns. So let me not lead with guns. So with that being said, me being on point, on cue, on the lookout for changes, knowing when to pivot, knowing when to move. Like I said, my wife is a modern woman, modern Western woman, but who was raised in a 2-parent home. I wouldn't call it traditional, but 2-parent home. You know, she teeters this line of tradition and modern. And I didn't grow up in a traditional home. Well, a traditional single parent home, if you want to consider that traditional at this point. You know, when shit hit the fan, there was a man in the house, me, who instinctively knew we can't sit here. We can't wait until the powers that be get it together. You know, there are things you're going to have to do to keep things moving, to keep things stable. And I wonder, so in that case, I wonder how many modern women who are out here who think that they could do it on their own really realize what's happening around them. As they say right now, and it's been worked on, like I think it's been practiced or so slowly grooming society to, hey, we're about to get rid of this paper dollar. They're about to tear down America. To America in the scheme of things, America, not necessarily Turtle Island as they call it, but the United States of America, that corporate entity is a baby in the scheme of things. This was an experiment. It's like it's time to go. It's like, growing up in the South Bronx, you had these tenements that were built, somewhere around World War I, World War II. They served this purpose up until, in the 80s. It was, like they said, the Bronx is burning. They decided to, for insurance purposes, tear the shit up. Eventually, gentrification kicks in, and it's time to wipe it clean and start fresh. The land is more valuable than the building. The building served its purpose. It's time to tear it down, bring it up to modern times. And I kind of feel like this is what we're going through, or what we're about to go through in America. Traditional money is about to go away. The digital dollar, the digital currency is about to come into play. And I feel like if you don't have that muscle in your house, if you don't have enough minds in the house who are critically thinking, who are observant, who are analyzing, and who are not just smoking and getting high. I like to sip my drinks. My wife like to get her smoke on every now and again. I'm not a smoker. She really ain't a drinker. So I guess no matter how we look at it, we kind of balance ourselves out. But she says I'm conservative. She's not conservative. You know what I'm saying? So this is constant teeter back and forth. But when we're working together, there's a balance, because and I'm back. So there's different perspectives that help us come to this conclusion of what course of action we're going to take. So I say all that to say that I'm concerned about a lot of these modern women, modern Western women who feel like they could do it on their own, who are mile high in college debt and just credit debt. And what are they going to do when they can't, when someone has to be home, watch the kids, and they have to go out here and muscle their way to get a can of green beans, to get a can of beans, to try to get a bag of rice, because it's going to get shut down. You know what I'm saying? It's going to, just like the World Trade Center, it tore that down to build something else. You know what I mean? It's that constant build and destroy, that constant cycle. And we're in this cycle where things are about to transition. And some of us ain't going to make it. Plenty of us are not going to make it. And I wonder, what are these modern women, these independent women who feel like they don't need no man? Only thing men are good for is a good lay. Out of the plethora of men that they're seeing and sleeping with, who probably can't even get rent money from, or barely could get a good takeout Chinese dinner, how are they going to come to their aid when shit gets tough? Because what's going to happen, chances are, is that when things get really tough, that man is going to find his way to who he think is important. And chances are it won't be her. What is the modern woman going to do when the shit hits the fan? Because people have been talking about it since forever. What's going to happen? You know, if I move, if you talk to me about 20 years ago, will I still be married? Probably not. But now that I'm a little older, a little wiser, I got 2 young boys, you know, got to be a little more patient, a little more diplomatic, you know what I'm saying? A little more focused, a little more disciplined, you know, a little more flexible as far as trying to push things forward and keep things together and move things along. Because the way the world is, men, period, the black man is a whole other level, but men, period, are being attacked from all levels. Because as I see, the powers that be are trying to minimize the muscle. They're trying to minimize the fight back, which is going to be the muscle, which is going to be the men. You know what I mean? And men in tight jeans, sagging, skinny jeans, all they talk about is op all day. Op this, op that, op this, but they don't know what a real op is. If they want to deal with an op, they need to go into the service. And majority of them are too sissified to be able to do that. So all that talk is not going to happen in this world. Not going to happen in the world that we're being introduced to. So I'm really curious to see how these women are going to fare out, because they're not going to have the muscle. They're not going to have the muscle. And chances are, as history tells us, chances are they're going to flip sides anyway and sleep with the enemy and all that other shit. But, you know, I really wonder how modern women is going to make it through these times that we're about to get into. You know what I'm saying? With mounds of debt, with housing shortage, because the way housing is going right now, you know, you're going to have to double up, triple up just to pay rent. You know, whereas as a single person, you might be able to rent a room. But now we're probably going into a space where a family is going to have to rent a room. Going back when our forefathers lived in a one-room shack. It's going to be probably going to be a replay of that. You know, because all these major corporations are buying up blocks and blocks and blocks of real estate. So instead of letting the block go down, corporations are buying the block to regulate price. So you're not going to be able, like, if you don't own a home now, chances are in the coming times you will not be able to, unless you are just unless you just money was just grandfathered into your life. So a single family home is going to probably have to fit at least 2 or 3 families in there, or it's going to discourage you from, which is probably what the hidden hand wants. You know, population control, because the population is getting too big to control anymore. So what they get, a lot of times, in bad times, birth rate goes down. In good times, like they said, the baby boom, this is after all the wars. This is when everybody had plenty of money, plenty of government grants, plenty of loans going out. This is where the baby boom happens, because the people are happy, and happy is sexy. And when happy and sexy come together, boom, 9 months later, babies come. But like I said, they bring these depression. They bring in the depression, stock market crashes, hard times, soup kitchen atmosphere, the dust bowl and all that good stuff, and bring population down. So that way they can get a grip. One, they could bring in a new system, and 2, keep their grip on society. But once things get too happy-go-lucky and too sexy, that means babies and population grows and they lose control. Because once you can't hold the number of people anymore, it's gonna bust. What's that? Pressure bust pipes. It goes. And it's all about control and maintenance. And the powers that be, the bloodlines and 300 families and all that other good stuff. It's all about control, maintaining control, and transhumanism and all that craziness. But like I said, it's so layered and so deep. But before we even get to the super extreme, it's that whole transition point. And when women feel like they don't need men, they don't need their husbands, there's plenty of options and opportunities out here. What's going to happen when the world starts crumbling around you? Right now, I heard that FedEx was used to getting 19 ships a day in from China, goods and all that, but now it's only down to 7. Walmarts are shutting down. They're talking about because of thefts. But mind you, most of Walmart products come from China. So Walmart probably isn't getting supplied from China as much anymore. So they probably have to close down the stores. If you noticed in Walmart, the aisles are getting wider because there are less products in the aisles. So now the aisles are getting larger because there's no product. So they're shutting down the Walmarts now. Russia, China, Brazil, South Africa, I believe, are breaking away from the U.S. dollar to create their own currency. So it's about to hit the fan, people. It's about to hit the fan. It's about to hit the fan. Now, if you ask me, they're all working together. Why wouldn't they? They've been wanting this global one world government for the longest.